What you're going to soon read, Jordan, on my Wikipedia page is that I got 2 years in jail, which I face now, because I lied about a Syrian refugee. Watch the film. I didn't lie. The problem that they have is 44 million people have watched that film. That means there's 44 million people, including influential people across the world, that know that I told the truth.
Bet you can't guess where this one's going. Okay, you probably can guess where it's going, so I will say up front, if you are one who appreciates objective content, and not the social media norm of pointless echo chamber feedback loops, you could lend me a hand if you so choose, and flick a finger, or the mouse for that matter, over the like button. That will assist in counteracting any possible downvote tsunami, and you can always take it back at the end if you feel like you've been shortchanged. Jordan Peterson did a fireside chat with Tommy Robinson, which was basically a Tommy biography. Tell us about this. Tell us about that. This is how he described it.
I was very interested in talking to Robinson. I'm trying to get to the bottom of things. I'm trying to sort out the story, and so is my wife. We didn't finish doing that the last time we talked, and so I took the opportunity today, I hope, to roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire insofar as I'm capable of doing that.
Wow, roast him over a slow fire. It didn't turn out quite that way. Over the first hour, which I won't be covering here, but I need to mention this for completeness, there were two little bits of pushback. His convictions, and also a bit of devil's advocacy about multiculturalism, and that was it. Peterson has pretty much approaching 10 million subscribers on YouTube, and anything he says has absolutely vast outreach. Take a look at this. Tommy will return to England and face punishment for reporting the truth. And this is what it should say. Tommy will return to England and face punishment for contempt of court. That is correct. That is totally false. The contempt was, in practical terms, a sideshow to the claims he made in his film Silence that resulted in the contempt, and all the subsequent "I was censored, I told the truth" stuff. So if we forget all about the contempt and imagine that he was actually just coming back to relitigate his Groundhog Day-like, endlessly regurgitated libel case against Jamal Hijazi, does that make this punishment for reporting the truth look any better? It's technically false because his claims were dismissed by the court. Ah yeah, but you see, it was a corrupt judge who covered up everything. And it's actually false because the dismissal was entirely fair. Very much in brief, this is my summary of the evidence he brought, all of which was dismissed as unsubstantiated by the court. Nobody reading that objectively would come to any other conclusion, and a really good way of getting around the problem of tribal loyalty interfering with objectivity, and it is out there in absolute abundance, is to simply switch out the man in question, Tommy, and switch in Mr. X, Joe Bloggs, John Doe, some totally anonymous person, and then read all that again, particularly where the girl claims to have had medical procedures and prescription drugs with zero medical records. If you can do that, you'll laugh it out the room, and if you can then switch him back in and not be assailed by an absolute avalanche of cognitive dissonance, well, it's all lies. Well, it can't be lies because it's Tommy. It's all lies. It can't be lies, but it's Tommy. If you can do that, you'll be free. But that is really hard to do. So, returning to Jordan's statement, in neither realm, either contempt or claims relitigation, is this statement anything other than false. That said, Peterson's false video notes, to date distributed to around 2 million people, are only part of the story.
Everyone's telling me to run and everyone's telling me not to come home. I'm coming home. I'm not running. I don't believe I'm on trial. I believe the British judiciary is on trial. The problem that they have is 44 million people have watched that film. That means there's 44 million people, including influential people across the world, that know that I told the truth.
The only people who think that are the people who got no further than the film, which, funnily enough, neglected to say anything about his claims being thoroughly debunked. Unchallenged by Peterson. Zero challenge. No challenge whatsoever. This is now part of the section which Peterson described as him returning to England to face punishment for reporting the truth.
Watch what I say when I get into court before the judge. Have you watched the film, Your Honour? If you have watched the film and I'm still sat here facing prosecution, you're corrupt as well. Because that film categorically proves all I'd done was report the truth. In what sane, freedom-loving world are we standing in where someone faces 2 years for reporting the truth?
Yeah, a sane, freedom-loving world, quote unquote, where there are consequences for consequential lying, i.e. lying for the purposes of making mischief. Zero challenge. Peterson describes discredited claims as Tommy will return to England and face punishment for reporting the truth. Did he go into court, as he said in that clip you just saw, and say, "Have you watched the film, Your Honour?" This morning, Robertson has admitted that he breached the injunction on the occasions and in the manner alleged by Jamal. He breached the injunction by publishing a film that he had made in which he repeated the allegations. He did this over the time period from February 23 to July 24. Not quite the courtroom display we'd been told to expect, or for that matter that he raised money on the basis of. Would you like to see that courtroom capitulation next to what he'd been saying on Twitter just a few months previously about who published the film? So in the top bit is what he was saying on Twitter in June this year. The documentary was eventually published by people in the USA, and now I'm facing 2 years in isolation in the prison system for something I didn't publish. And the bottom was in October. This morning he has admitted that he breached the injunction by publishing a film that he had made. Are you getting the picture? Something I didn't publish, then his lawyer speaking on his behalf, he breached the injunction by publishing a film he made. I didn't publish it. I'm going to put the judge squarely in his place. I did publish it, guilty as charged, Your Honour. It's not exactly what you were led to believe, was it? And what is Peterson's pushback on these false claims that Tommy is telling him directly to his face? This is where he just finished saying, "Watch what I say when I get into court."
Tam, do you want to bring this to a close, make some comments, ask Tommy some questions?
Nothing. So let's give Tammy her moment in the sun.
Well, you inspired me. You're inspiring us.
At no point is there pushback on anything. Peterson knows full well that he was going back to face contempt charges, so this is obvious fakery. And he has no excuse to not know that the claims about being censored did not hold up. In case you missed it, this judgment, but more importantly the award of damages, will mark clearly that Robinson has failed to demonstrate the truth of his allegations. And again, I summarised all that on just one page that it'll take you all of 3 minutes to go through. He has huge outreach, and people will make bad decisions, in part on the basis of this. The claims are being used to raise money. You know exactly what I mean. Here's just a few examples. I am being prosecuted in the High Court for contempt and face 4 years in prison for daring to show the world the truth about what happened in Almondbury. We will not stop fighting. We will continue to stand for the truth. I am fighting back on the legal front. I am appealing the injunction and the previous court judgment which put the injunction in place. He broke the injunction. That's why he pleaded guilty. This morning, Robinson has admitted that he breached the injunction on the occasions and in the manner alleged by Jamal. He's going to appeal that. Of course not. And then the money pitch. I want to fight back, but I need your help to do it. Will you help me? A lot of people will, who are badly informed, because they've only watched the film. If I had £1 for every time somebody said to me, "Oh, you've not watched the film, have you?" Yes, I've watched the film. However, I've done a lot more than just watch it. You've only watched the film. That's why you don't understand. If I had £1 for every time somebody said that to me. And Peterson is facilitating this by giving him a platform to push the same claims as are being made to push the money machine with absolutely zero pushback. No pushback whatsoever. Do you remember this? 12 rules for life. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. How do you reconcile Peterson's lofty advice about not lying with all of this? Is he facilitating what amounts to a fraud by letting Tommy lie unchallenged on his platform simply for YouTube views? That is the false claim, that is the money pitch based on the false claim, join the two, and that is money by deception. That is fraud. Would you like to know what it's about? You could ask him. I'll be putting this video obviously on YouTube, I'll put it on Twitter as well, and you could bring it to his attention and ask him. So maybe next time, rather than 2 hours of hero worship, he could actually, what was it he said again?
Roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire.
Since we didn't actually get that this time, maybe the next time he could bring to the lad's attention the staggering inconsistencies which caused the whole thing to collapse, one example of which I put on just one page to make it as clear as possible. That and all the others. Will he? Of course he won't. Peterson is as captured and compromised by his echo chamber as are the vast majority. But if enough people ask him, it might at least be a bit embarrassing.
And so I took the opportunity today, I hope, to roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire insofar as I'm capable of doing that. Roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire. Roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire. Tam, do you want to bring this to a close? Make some comments. Ask Tommy some questions. Roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire. Roast Robinson over somewhat of a slow fire.